What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Yahoo with a 10-team half-point PPR mock where we will be selecting from the 5th overall position. Should be pretty interesting. As you can see, we have got the setup all ready to go. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, let us hear it in the comment section, your thoughts on the team, on the players we put together, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you're there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Everything you could want at a great value. Details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into this thing because the first pick is about to be made. You see Christian McCaffrey goes off the board. Nothing too crazy there. I anticipate the next two picks will be Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry in that order, especially since it seems like these first three individuals might be on auto selections. But that's all right. That's how the majority of these drafts will go. I wanted to put ourselves, though, specifically in the 5th spot because to me, it's a very interesting spot. You could argue that's kind of where the first round begins because the first four picks more than likely will be Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and then Derrick Henry. You know, some type of combination like that with varying order. Now, with the 5th spot, that's where the questions really begin. Do you go with somebody like an Ezekiel Elliott? Do you go with potentially the first pass catcher off the board, with a tight end, with a wide receiver? Do you reach on somebody like an Aaron Jones, somebody like an Austin Eckler that I personally love, or do you take the gamble that one of them potentially drops to you, which right now is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Jonathan Taylor, with the current situation in Indianapolis with all those injuries, I am passing on him, but that's been the case for a while now. Saquon Barkley potentially starting the season on the PUP list, missing a week or two. I am passing on him this early as well. To me right now, the two biggest risks in the first round are Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. And look, the name of the game is minimizing risk, especially in the early rounds of your fantasy football drafts. And with that being the case, it's a little bit too, precarious of a situation for me to take a gamble on Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. And I mean, you can see it. Both those guys have already dropped to the 8th pick overall. Kind of insane. Now, to be fair, both those guys, specifically Saquon Barkley, I would say, if, it comes to a situation where they bounce back and they're available for the majority of the season, again, mainly Saquon Barkley because he's dealing with an injury situation, he becomes an absolute steal at his value. With Jonathan Taylor, it's more so of a situation of the injuries around him, whether they return, when they return, because a shaky offensive line, that's never a good thing for a running back, a lack of a quarterback also. But you just see Jonathan Taylor here go with the 9th pick overall. Like I said, at some point in time, you're going to start seeing value with these picks. I mean, Saquon Barkley is here with the last pick overall in the first round, and he still hasn't gone. In fact, he's going to be a second-round selection. And honestly, I can't knock anybody for not wanting to draft Saquon Barkley at this point in time. But let's quickly look at what's taken place so far. The first couple of picks, like we mentioned, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott by us. Nothing too crazy there. Then you see Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones. I'd personally be drafting Aaron Jones ahead of Nick Chubb. I like his pass-catching upside more so, which gives him a bump. Then Tyreek Hill, the first wide receiver off the board, followed by Jonathan Taylor. Then Travis Kelce to end the first round, paired with Najee Harris with the first pick in the second round. Boy, oh boy, is that early for Najee Harris, in my opinion. Again, the offensive line is just a worry point for me with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then Saquon Barkley in the second round. And that's the perfect example of it, folks. A situation where a big-time player, a guy that can be the RB1 when healthy, is dropping due to injury concerns to the second round. And again, I can't tell you that you shouldn't be doing that. I think that's probably the way it should be. Because again, you have to minimize risk in the first, not only in the first round, in the second round, probably in the third round as well. When it hits like the 4th, 5th round, that's when I'm willing to make bigger, risky decisions. But it's our turn to make another selection. Unfortunately, Austin Eckler, the guy that I would have taken in the first round instead of the Ezekiel Elliott pick, I kind of gambled to see if he would fall to us in the second round. He doesn't. It's all right. He goes with the third pick in the second round, then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, followed by Stephon Diggs. Diggs would have been a great value, but here I'm going to go with another running back that I think can be similar to Austin Eckler. That is an Antonio Gibson. So I'm pairing up Zeke with Gibson. To me, that is a good start to this draft. Two, RB1s in my opinion. Zeke is going to be an integral part of the offense for the Cowboys. Same with Antonio Gibson. He's going to have a bigger role than last season. In terms of other guys that I would have considered, Devontae Adams, obviously, Calvin Ridley, obviously, as well. But I really, really wanted to get two stud running backs. It's more often than not the strategy that I will go with in, whatever league I'm in. Within the first 3 rounds, at least get 2 running backs. Devontae Adams, again, he was very, very tempting, but I think we can go ahead and get another stud wide receiver in the 3rd round. And I think we're in a situation where right in the middle of this draft, it's a 10-team league, so we're going to have a lot of good value here. A lot of these rosters will be top heavy. That's what happens in smaller leagues, but it's all right. So you need to differentiate yourselves in some very important positions, and that's the idea with the selection of Antonio Gibson. But again, Devontae Adams was right there behind him. The fact that Devontae Adams, though, even fell to almost the end of the 2nd round is absolutely ludicrous. Same with Stephon Diggs. So something to point out, I think there are exceptional values there in the 2nd round. Calvin Ridley afterwards, another pick that I absolutely love. Joe Mixon, then A.J. Brown to round out the 2nd round, followed by George Kittle and Justin Jefferson. So right now, as far as wide receivers are concerned, I was going to say DeAndre Hopkins. He just goes off the board. DK Metcalf is still there. Allen Robinson is still there. So is Keenan Allen. And right now, J.K. Dobbins just went, so we're in a good position to take a wide receiver. And this is what I was saying. This is why I wanted to go another running back in the 2nd round, because you look at the running backs that are still left. I think there's potentially a big drop-off. Dave Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson is still there. But I'm going to go with the wide receiver here. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf. And then hopefully we'll see, Keenan Allen is also somebody that I really like. I doubt he drops to me, but he's somebody that I would be very ecstatic about if he somehow falls to the 4th round. But again, I doubt that very much. Chris Carson is someone that I also really, really like in the 3rd round. I could have potentially gone, obviously Devontae Adams in the 2nd and then Chris Carson in the 3rd. But it's this situation, again, you can't really guess who's going to be there in the 3rd round, especially at the running back position. It's a position where there are runs continuously for those players. So very, very tough to predict in my opinion. And that's why we kind of gambled with Antonio Gibson. In retrospect, yes, if we had gone Devontae Adams and Chris Carson instead, probably would have been a little bit better. But, I can't knock this combination too much either, DK Metcalf and Antonio Gibson. So I am a big fan of that as well. Looking at some of these other selections after a DK Metcalf pick, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, I think both are bad picks considering that Keenan Allen is still available. Whoever gets Keenan Allen here is getting an absolute steal. Patrick Mahomes in the 3rd round, no thank you. I preach this. Do not take a quarterback early. You're getting Patrick Mahomes in the 3rd round. Guess what? Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, you'll probably be able to get them in the 4th, 5th round. And to me, the separation between Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray won't be all that much. You see Keenan Allen go here in the 3rd round. Great, great, great value pick. Probably my favorite pick in the 3rd round. Allen Robinson then goes, followed by David Montgomery. I'll be shocked if we're in a situation to pick Chris Carson here. We have DK Metcalf, so we're kind of doubling down on some Seattle Seahawks players. But, the name of the game is getting good value. Don't necessarily go into a draft with a set strategy. Yes, it can be a little bit ugly if you get 2 players from the same team, especially when it's, not a stack, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback. But to me, Chris Carson is by far and away potentially the best player here at the most important position. I will say if Darren Waller is available, it will be very, very tempting. Same with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is somebody that has tremendous, tremendous upside as the wide receiver one in the Dallas Cowboys offense, especially with Amari Cooper right now dealing with some nagging injuries. But right now, this pick is down to 3 players for me. It's down to Darren Waller, CeeDee Lamb, and Chris Carson. And it looks like we're going to have potentially our, choice of all of them. Now, there goes Darren Waller. So it's between 2 players. It's between CeeDee Lamb and it's between Chris Carson. I love CeeDee Lamb, like I said, but Chris Carson to me here is a pick that is such a great value. It's such an important position. Getting 3 starting running backs in our starting lineup, all top 10 upside. I'm going Chris Carson here. Yes, I know it's a little bit of a tough look having 2 Seattle Seahawks, Metcalf and Carson, but you could argue the 2 top options on that offense. So, kind of making me feel a little bit better about that situation. Otherwise, CeeDee Lamb would have been the pick here if Chris Carson was not available. Deandre Swift, somebody that I also really like. What I'm banking on here is that in the second round, we can get somebody, or in the next round, I should say, not in the second round, that we can get somebody like a Julio Jones, somebody like a, Deonte Johnson, Cooper Kupp, a couple names that come to mind. But again, let's look at the big board here. After a selection of Chris Carson, you see Robert Woods, CeeDee Lamb, good value on CeeDee Lamb. Again, you look at all these teams, they're all very, very good. A lot of depth, looking in the first team, McCaffrey, A.J. Brown. I don't agree with the George Kittle pick or with the Myles Gaskin pick at that point in time, but the first 2 rounds, exceptional. Then Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, great start there. Miles Sanders, again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but there you go. The third team, Derrick Henry, Ridley, Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb, great combo there. I anticipate this will probably be a running back. Fourth team, Kamara, Devontae Adams, J.K. Dobbins, Robert Woods, very, very good combination as well. You see our team, Zeke, Antonio Gibson, Metcalf, Chris Carson, and again, it's our turn to make a pick. Somehow we get, Cooper Kupp still available to us. We get Julio Jones still available to us right now, just because he's a little bit healthier, seemingly, than Julio Jones, who's dealing with some undisclosed injuries. I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp here, a guy that I think is going to have a lot of targets go his way, playing with one of the best quarterbacks he's ever played with. I'm going Cooper Kupp. A guy that I'm hoping falls to us in the next round would be TJ Hawkinson or Kyle Pitts at the tight end position. I think that would be extremely, extremely strong. And unfortunately, as soon as I say that Kyle Pitts is drafted here in the 5th round, it's all right. That's going to happen. So in my opinion, I got Cooper Kupp. If it wasn't Cooper Kupp or Julio Jones, it would have been one of those 2 tight ends. But I wanted to get that second starting wide receiver. Kind of a gamble again, but we'll see. We'll see if it pays off. I'm guessing that TJ Hawkinson will be selected here before we get a chance to make another pick. But that's kind of the situation we are in. If I can get Kyler Murray in the 6th round, I would also be very, very happy. But let's look at some of these picks so far in the 5th round. Darrell Henderson goes there. Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews are run on tight ends. I anticipate, again, TJ Hawkinson probably will go right here with this auto pick. If he doesn't, though, I would say it's a guarantee that we get TJ Hawkinson. And, potentially if he doesn't go in the 6th round either, because these next couple of teams all have tight ends: Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, and Darren Waller. So we just have to make it past this point in here. And if we do, we are going to get TJ Hawkinson. But again, I anticipate to absolutely be sniped here and to be heartbroken. Maybe it'll be a quarterback, maybe it'll be a tight end. I'm guessing it'll be a tight end. And, we're not going to have the ability to take TJ Hawkinson. But let's look at some of these other teams. We went through our team so far. Next team up here: Nick Chubb, Diggs, Terry McLaurin, Darren Waller, Darrell Henderson. Again, not a bad team. You got Darren Waller as your top tight end. Yeah, there it is. There's the heartbreak. TJ Hawkinson in the 6th round when we knew nobody else was going to take a tight end. That is a heartbreaking pick. But that's the situation that we have on our hands, folks. It is what it is. This team here with Tyreek Hill, Eckler, Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, Mark Andrews. Again, I don't like taking Mahomes that early. I would have much rather taken, Keenan Allen at that point in time, pairing him up with Hill, pairing him up with Austin Eckler. To me, that's a much better combination. You could have gotten, instead of Mark Andrews, you could have gotten Kyler Murray. So let's see if we get sniped here again with Kyler Murray. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. And we get a little bit lucky. We don't. And right now, I've already got my 2 top wide receivers. I could go Deonte Johnson, but I think the value at this point in time for Kyler Murray is very, very good. So I'm going to get Kyler Murray, somebody that I can absolutely see finishing as the quarterback 1. Again, in retrospect, in hindsight, there's a couple things you could point to right now in terms of what we could have done differently. One of those things, probably going Devontae Adams in the second round instead of Antonio Gibson, and then getting Chris Carson as our, running back in the third round. But look, we were able to get Chris Carson in the fourth round. So I think, again, very, very good value where we got him. Probably could have swapped DK Metcalf instead of Keenan Allen, so we don't have all that many Seattle Seahawks. But again, hindsight 2020. But the biggest thing I would say is, instead of going Cooper Kupp, we could have gone Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson there. I think it probably would have been a little bit of a better situation, because in the 7th round, good chance that somebody like a Deonte Johnson falls to us. Good chance that, let's just sort it by wide receiver. Somebody like a, Brendan Cooks, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all guys that I really, really like. Antonio Brown is also still there. Right now, with 2 picks until my next selection, Deonte Johnson would be the no-brainer pick. Let's see if there's any tight ends here that, are screaming great value. I would say no, so I'm just going to go by my draft board. I'm taking Deonte Johnson. I love, love, love that pick. Again, if you could tell me I could have had Deonte Johnson instead of Cooper Kupp and TJ Hawkinson, I would have done that 10 times out of 10. But sometimes that's how the draft breaks. Again, don't look at this run of tight ends. Tyler Higbee, Dallas Goedert, Austin Hooper. I don't know what in the hell Austin Hooper, what type of business he has in the 7th round. That is absolutely insane. I would not be taking him there. But after our Kyler Murray selection, again, just looking at some of these picks, Odell Beckham, you see a run on quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert in the 7th round. So I'm very happy we got Kyler Murray where we did. Deshaun Watson is going to be another guy that has tremendous, tremendous value later in drafts. It looks like he's going to play. I continue to say that on every single mock, but I say it because it can be a league-winning decision that you make if you ignore quarterback, in the first 7, 8th rounds, and then you kind of just select Deshaun Watson, who everybody forgets about, and you get him, as a double-digit pick. Instead, you address positions like tight end, flex, bench, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point here. Because, a couple of months ago, if none of this Deshaun Watson drama had ever happened, he would be a top 5, top 6 quarterback right after Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. So just keep that in mind. Right now, looking at some of these other selections, I think we got extremely good value on Deonte Johnson in the 7th round. One of my favorite picks, considering it's all been tight end and quarterbacks there. Jamar Chase in the 8th round, good value as well, I would say. Mike Davis at the 6th round, pretty good value as well. But again, let's quickly look at what we would be considering here. T. Higgins, and at this point, the name of the game is just getting great value, getting the best value picks that you can. And right now, I'm looking at these players. Damian Harris is somebody that I think has a lot of upside. Other running backs, Ronald Jones, Melvin Gordon, Brendan Cooks is somebody that I really like. I've already got, a pretty good trio of wide receivers. I think there's kind of been a drop-off here, so I'm going to go with Damian Harris. I think that's a pretty solid selection. Again, let's look at our wide receivers here that we can get afterwards in the next round of the 9th round. Brendan Cooks, Antonio Brown, one of those guys will be available. I also don't mind taking Michael Thomas as a luxury pick. I think that's totally, totally doable. Yahoo is one of those platforms that probably has him accurately ranked, and you'll be able to get a good value on him because he shouldn't be going like in the 6th or 7th round. That's way too early considering he could miss half of the fantasy football season. But we've gotten to the point where we're seeing a lot of kickers, a lot of defenses. So I'm probably going to do this for 2 more rounds and then kind of call it a day. We do have to take a tight end. That's kind of the only hole on our roster. It's tough, but it's one of those give and take situations. Do you wait, and I mean wait, really late on the tight end position and then get a lot of great value at other places like Kyler Murray, like I said, Metcalf, Gibson, Chris Carson. I think all those picks were tremendous, tremendous value. So was Cooper Kupp. So was Deonte Johnson. So I really like the situation there. I'm not going to give myself as high of a grade because, again, of the hole at tight end. But we'll see. We'll see what we can put together here with one of our final picks. Because at tight end right now, I'm looking at it, and again, it's our turn to make a selection. Tight end, nobody else is going to be taking one here. Logan Thomas is probably who I would have ranked the highest. I do really, really like Jared Cook. But let's look at wide receiver, and let's go in a guy in Antonio Brown that I really like. So I'm going to go Antonio Brown. Then I'll probably go Michael Thomas afterwards as a nice little luxury pick, and then I'll queue up a tight end and call this thing a day. But right now, kind of giving us a grade on this team. It's a 10-team league, so it's going to be a result where a lot of these teams are set up very, very well. It's going to be a lot of great competition, a lot of great rosters. So you got to differentiate yourself at some important positions. That's why I can't give myself that high of a grade since we still haven't picked a tight end. But I think we have tremendous, tremendous depth. So allows the possibility of a trade, if you will, for a tight end position. But we've got a stud quarterback in Kyler Murray. DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Deonte Johnson, I think a very formidable trio, as well as Antonio Brown. Ezekiel Elliott, Gibson, Chris Carson, a tremendous trio of running backs. I would say one of the best trio of running backs that you see here on this big board. Obviously, if Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley pan out, then that'll give us a run for our money. But I love Zeke. I love Gibson there. So very high on that. We've got 4 picks until our next turn. I think we're going to land Michael Thomas here. Again, a luxury pick that when he returns, the dude is a starter on our team and allows even more flexibility for a trade. The tight end position, again, I can't give myself like a B+ because the tight end position is still missing. So I'm going to give myself probably a B- at this point in time. But again, I think all things considered, because we were just, 1 or 2 picks away from getting a stud tight end. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just kind of the way this thing worked out. So not the end of the world, but our turn is next here. So I'm just going to get Michael Thomas immediately in the 10th round. Yes, it's a 10-team league, but we pretty much got every single position taken care of. I know nobody is going to draft a tight end, so I'm just going to queue one up after this. Again, it's very important to be paying attention to what your competition is doing. So I'm going to add Logan Thomas to our queue. So, this will be as if we have Logan Thomas on the roster. So keep that in mind. And here for a big view of our team, here you can see it. What we have so far, again, Kyler Murray, DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Zeke, Gibson, Chris Carson, pencil in Logan Thomas at tight end, Deonte Johnson, Damian Harris, Antonio Brown, Michael Thomas, one of the best benches, in my opinion, on this team. But at the end of the day, let me know what you guys think. Do you agree, disagree? Do you have any questions? Let us hear it in the comments section. I will make sure to answer them all. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, and lastly, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you're there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. All the details in the description. But with that being said, we'll see you guys in future videos.